Good morning to those joining us from the United Kingdom and good sorry, it was good afternoon to those joining us from United Kingdom and good morning to those connecting from Mexico and the other parts of the world. My name is Grecia Suarez and I'm part of the team at the UNAM-UK Center for Mexican Studies. We are also joined by Dr. Antonio del Rio, Director of the UNAM UK, who will be supporting us in moderating the Q&A session. Today, we are delighted to present the seminar entitled Digital Technology and Translation. It is now my great pleasure to introduce our speaker. Ricardo Chimal holds a master's degree in education and educational assessment and has over 13 years of experience in specialized translations across sectors such as construction, telecommunication, and information technology. His main area of expertise is tradomatics, combining translation with digital tools. He has collaborated as an ambassador for Actual Solutions and has conducted research on digital accessibility. He has also trained professionals in audiovisual and technical translation through courses and workshops. His research interests include the digitalization of historical writing system, audiovisual accessibility, and video game localization, positioning his work at the intersection of language, technology, and digital humanities. Before we begin, just a brief note. This session is being live streamed via YouTube. If you have any questions, please feel free to write them in the chat. We will address them during the Q&A session at the end. We are truly delighted to have him with us today. Ricardo, thank you very much for joining us, and the floor is yours.
Hello, good afternoon, good morning. Thank you very much for your invitation. I'm very pleased for this invitation from Dr. Antonio del Rio and Grecia Suarez and the whole team from UNAM UK and also from our school ENALLT. Thank you very much for your invitation. Well, I'm very pleased to have this presentation with you. It's called Digital Technology and Translation, a cornerstone reshaping academic training and professional practice. So, the main topic of this presentation is that I want to show you a little tour about how digital environment and how digital technology, how digital revolution has transformed, has made some has transformed our profession here as translators. So I'm going to begin first with some remarks that I want to stop by first before we can enter into our main subject. The first of all is that we need to be cautious. We need to be very, very cautious when we are talking about generations, or when we are talking about people that are using this technology, this digital technology, because as we commonly heard, I don't know, in news, social media, or just on streets, or everyone talking about it in a very, very colloquial way, it's about these generations. So we need to be careful because as instance as baby boomers, generation X, generation Z, or millennials, these kind of categories come from a general theory, come from Strauss-Howe. This is a theory that came out in 1991. So this is just not presented as with the valid cohorts. It's not scientifically valid, so we need to be careful when we talk about these terms. I mean, in street life, it doesn't matter, but when we are talking about education, when we are talking about digital topics, or when we are talking about how this digital media and digital technologies have had impact on our daily life, well, it's important to emphasize this. And why did I say, or why did I mention this? Because first of all, this series from 1991, as I already mentioned, so they are talking about whole generation since 1776 when the United States was made. So they are talking about generations, first of all, in the US, and then they are talking about different generations coming one after another until we reach the end of the the end of the yes of the second millennium, and then we have these generations, boomers, Generation X, millennials, and they invented another Generation Z after this theory. And when they published originally this theory, they were talking about different periods: 1944, 1946 till 1964, and 1984 till 2008. So we're talking about something that is idealistic and not realistic. Also, this is closer to zodiac or some, I don't know, astrology, because they are talking just about people born in some dates and not specific in and not specifying, sorry, about specific problems, about specific countries or necessities that they may have. So this may not be at all valid. The other theory that we need to be careful is about the first one is homogenizing generations, and this other theory from Prensky is homogenizing knowledge. No, he mentioned it in a journal just in 2001. He called digital immigrants digital natives just at the beginning of this century. So yeah, he mentioned about the digital revolution or the third industrial revolution, but he can use these concepts in a very excessive or inaccurate simplification. In that matter, not every immigrant or not every person coming from the 20th century has migrated in the same way, or not everyone has had the same access to digital technology or internet. As a matter of fact, different media products as emails or something like that. So this is about knowledge, and also again it's referred to the US and not the rest of the planet, not the rest of the world. So there might be differences in different cultures in different countries about the way they have access historically to this digital media. It mentioned it, and this barrier also between generations is blurry again, because he talks about digital natives as they can they natively speak in the digital language of computers, video games, and internet, and that's very blurry because again, it's the end of the 20th century, it's 2001, and there are already some generations um, using this digital, and what I have to mention specifically is that no generation has born knowing digital knowledge. Everyone learns about digital knowledge. Everyone migrated at some point. So different technologies that we have used in the past have been learned all the time. So this is not just something that someone born with a chip or something inside. So it's always learning. So that's important for education. So digital revolution, as I already mentioned, or the third industrial revolution, can also be tracked in a history line since the 1940s with the electronic numerical integrator and computer, the ENIAC computer, these first electronic computers, or on during the 60s decade when internet was a military project, or during the late 70s or the early 80s when personal computers exploded and they were sold everywhere, or began to be sold everywhere. And other thing that it's also is misleading with this content, with this by using these concepts, is the use, for example, of digital gap and other gaps. As I mentioned, different countries, different societies, different access. So some countries, especially those poor countries, may have less bandwidth, or they could not have access the same devices on the same time. So we need to be very careful that every population is different, that every country has different generations and different access. So, what are we talking or what are we referring to when we say digital education? Well, first of all, yes, this is an empirical knowledge when we get into a classroom and everybody is with their cell phones, with their mobiles. Um, Using it to get into with these smartphones, getting into internet, logging, playing, etc. So we believe that digital education born sometimes with this media, although we're going to see that it's not the case and that digital has born within the digital revolution. So it can be either from the 40s, the 60s, the 70s, 80s, or even the 90s and the 2000s, depending on where are we going to put the start line. So when we're talking about digital education, we're not just talking about what are we doing in class, what are we doing when we are teaching, or when we are providing any new knowledge about this. So we're talking about also your area, your work. We need to get into those profiles. We need to get there. How are they going to use technology, or how are they going to use these abilities, capabilities, or skills? We're going to talk about it in a minute. So we need to get we need to get to that point, we need to get to that ending. We need to have a purpose, even though if you're teaching preschool, if you're teaching in high school, or you're teaching just in universities, you have to be very keen on what your objective is, what your purpose is of teaching within your classroom with digital media or digital devices. Human technology has already existed since we were a long time ago, 10,000 BC, and so on. Technologies we have already used as our species. It should be the bow and an arrow, writing, printing, steam, machines, and all these kind of products are already technology. Science applied to something that we can use to improve our lives. So specifically, I'm using the word digital because we're talking about the human digital technology. We already have had human technology, as I've already mentioned, but we have this digital technology. Digital, the word comes from digit, from numbers, and they refer to numbers one and O, or one and zero, referring to the binary digit. The binary digit is the minimum unit that you may have in your computers, in your devices, because it's the first translation within the computers when you have every electricity attached to your components, and then it's translated to these first binary digits, ones and O's. So that's where this term comes from. So let's get into the framework. As I already mentioned, we're talking about digital and digital. This is a digital universe. We have already a lot of software. We have a lot of different applications, and we need to specify them. We need to group them according to digital environments. We have to call them within this concept that is environment, because we need to know which tools can be used for translations, which tools can be used for school, which tools can be used for the office, which tools can be used for, I don't know, making presentations, or extracting terminology, or doing some, I don't know, localization. So every group of programs we have here are digital environments. So for getting into this digital environment, so we need to form, we need to educate, we need to teach students in these digital skills. So the models that I'm going to present you are the descriptive models of professional development that have been used for this instance, for the digital, sorry, from the paradigm of competence. That competence is including skills and knowledge, so they are combined, so they can be these competences that they may use when they are working, that they can be verified, and that they can be proven within a certificate or something, paper within formal education. So we have this first model coming from the Joint Research Center, from the European Union, when we have the digital competence, information search, evaluation, management, communication and collaboration, content creation, safety, well-being and responsibilities, problem identification and solving. These are the five main points for this competence, but this is a general digital competence. It is used across um, different knowledge, different degrees, different educations, different programs. So this may not refer specifically for translators. That's our main interest here. So it's important to get to know this because we already have this, and this can be applied to other countries, to other schemes, to other frameworks designed for different specialties. We have these models that are these ones, the translator competence. This is the translator competence. On the left, we have the practice traditional model, including five subcompetences and one psychophysiological component. But I mark here in yellow this instrumental subcompetence and knowledge of translation because it's in these two subcompetences we're going to find stuff related to this that as technological literacy. This is very important. Many scholars have made um, important assessments and important they have paid important attention to this because literacy has been a problem during the 20th century, but digital or technological or electronic literacy has been first major problem during this century because not getting because what I've already mentioned before, just because you have a digital device in your hands doesn't make you that you have a chip inserted and that you already know how to use it. So you have to learn how to use this digital knowledge. So digital literacy is one of the main interests. So for translation, we aim to master terminology databases, corpus managers, online dictionaries, and some CAT tools that I'm going to talk about them in a minute. So other skills within these competences would be documentation skills. So you need to retrieve information in a very efficient way. Also evaluate sources. Also you have to select and organize glossaries, memories. So you have to be also developing a resource management skill. Adaptability is fundamental. You have to have the ability to learn and apply these new technologies. That means that you don't have to just consume these technologies. You have to develop. You have to create. So you have to um, you may be a consumer, but you have to be also a prosumer. That means that you produce also as well as you consume. So this is one of the main goals that we could have at this area. On the other hand, on the right, we have the MT Translators Computer. This is for translation masters in the European Union. Specifically for this instance of technology, well, they make they highlight this that the students should know how to use the resources. Also they should know how to effectively use them: search engines, corpus-based tools, cat tools, and also quality assurance tools. The pre-process, process, and managing files is another part of the translation workflow, and this concept is very important. Translation workflow is a main skill, a main area that should be within the progress of this education. Also, it's important within those knowledge that is not just theoretically, but also within the ethics or related to ethics, is that it's important for people, for students to recognize the importance and value of translation and language data, also demonstrating this data literacy. Okay, so it's not important just that they know how to translate, but how to translate it using these technological tools. So, specifically, we have another descriptive model just to land this information, these concepts, these competences, and specifically in some areas of digital competence that should be taken into acquaintance. This is a Marin and Hernandez proposal from 2021. And so, first of all, this environment that should be taken into account is office automation, the ability to handle office software package, document and terminology management, how to use databases, terminology databases, also documents, digital security. This is very important. The students, or when we form people, we have to let them develop an ability to keep technology equipment beyond free of viruses and malware to protect personal data and that from their clients. That's very important. They should know how to protect their clients' data because it's a very sensitive matter when we're working with this documents, digital security, and then we have localization. Localization, it's an area where we are applying skills within software, web pages, video games, and other digital media, but it is necessary to go beyond translation. You need to get to know a little bit of some marketing skills, some marketing knowledge. Also, you need to know about ads, about advertising, and you know that's gonna add up, and then you're gonna land perfectly in this area. Audiovisual translation. Some may include localization within audiovisual translation, but this is just for let's say subtitles and dubbing that we may use not only for entertainment purposes but also for um, uh, uh, corporate videos and corporate businesses. Project planning, service management, also within a translation agency, you may develop projects or you may enter into a company. You have to develop these projects. Also, this is part of what we are developing here. What I'm describing here is how digital revolution has already impact on translation. So it's important for us to know that these areas have been developed in the last 25 years, and these are just areas to be formed in. Then we're gonna check the profiles where you will be able to get some jobs or able to get into the market and compete. So we have computer assisted translation. This is very important because you need to differentiate cats from machine translation, and computer translation is going to help you to aim your production to produce more words per day so you can also get more profitable jobs. And then we have technical preparation that is deeply related with desktop publishing. This is an area that it has been usually part of designers, and these designers are designers, and they make this um, these documents. They have all this information that has to be put within a document. When you have the layout, you have these layout designers. So we have to know about this, not because we're going to make new documents, but clients demand us to create or recreate those documents they were using because they want their document to be translated, but also to look like the first one, to look like the original as far as we can do it. So this also includes the use of automated pre-translations and machine translation that I'm going to talk about in a second. And the last one, edit and proofreading. This has been also one of the major skills that has been very related to translators. Translators, since we were translating in clay tablets from cuneiform tablets, when translators were using it as learning, where they were using these clay tablets for learning, or were they using them for making dictionaries, when they were translating Sumerian into the Akkadian languages. We already we can see that edit in proofreading when they have these corrections, these marks, because behind every translator there has always been an editor. So this is something we have been deeply related, because it can be also next step when you're within an agency. You can translate, and then you may get a step higher, getting into proofreading or editing documents. So let's get hands-on, and let's get into the matter. I've mentioned this framework, this theoretical framework, and let's get into this. So assisted computer translation, also mentioned as CAT. We are talking about cats. So it can be one of three topics or three things. We are talking about the use of software to assist a human translator. This is the main one that we're going to check here. But it can be also a translation strategy used by translators to participate in translation process using computer programs. Okay, so within our translation strategies, we may add this technological strategy. Another is a complex process involving specific tools and technology adaptable to the needs of to the translator. This is specifically when we are studying this phenomenon or this specific process. So we understand it as a whole process, not just as one action or one act. So as software, we are referring it specifically as CAT tools. It's all these computer-assisted translation tools were meaning specifically to the software. Right behind here, right underneath here, sorry, we have these major trademarks or different CAT tools that you may get into. Some of them are free, some of them you need to purchase a license, or some of them can be open, some of them are closed. So some of them you cannot get into the system or into the code. On the others, you may have. So they provide a range of features to help translators to convert the meaning text from one language into another consistently and with speed. This is the great differentiator that we have to differentiate our translations with common translations. Leveraging is within databases. We learn to use databases. Specifically, we have three kinds: translation memories, terminology, and corpus. Translation memories are databases that collect everything you have, that recollect everything you have from your translations, and then they have this database. So when you translate again a similar project, they are going the program, the software is going to retrieve the information that you have already translated before. So this is going to give you coherence and cohesion. That's very, very important within translation. And also, it's going to increase your productivity. Terminology database, all the terms that you are going to use in a project or within client's project. Well, also you have a special database, a specific database that you can, where you can get all these terms, what you can get in, what you can deposit all these terms, and then the software again is going to retrieve you. And also corpus, some softwares, not all of them, you can use documents, similar documents to the one you're translated, and then the program, the software is going to look up for some information, phrases, or some I don't know, some clauses that may look similar to the one you're already translating, and they're going to pop up on your computer, on your software, and they're going to tell you, oh, I found this can be useful, or this may be useful. Similar to translation memory, the big difference is that translation memory is what you have already translated. It's your translation, and corpus is documentation, information that you already collect or gather from different sources in order to complete your task. So your increase would be about 3,000 to 5,000 words per day. This is usually what translation agencies will require from you in order to work with them. This is usually the rhythm. A CAT tool looks like this. This is, for instance, usually how they look. You have a document panel where you have the main Translation, when you have the text in the source language, where you have the text in your target language. This is the document panel or the bilingual document. Then you have another panel for the translation, where you have the connection, the interface with the translation memory or the translation memory database. So every time you get 100% or some percentage, automatically the software is going to give you or provide you the previous translation, and you just have to check it, correct it, or improve it, enhance it, depending on what you're working on. On the right, you have the glossary panel. We have the terms, we have the other database, the other main database, and every time the target, the source text is telling you that you have some terms that are already on your glossary, it's gonna pop up right here, and then you may use them, these words, so you have cohesions, you have coherence within your different documents that you have already worked with this client or this project. Because remember, a client may ask you for a service today, and then they may pass 6 months, and then again you have another service to provide for this client, and you may forget some stuff, some terms. So these translation memories, that's why they call it memories, they are going to refresh what you have already translated for them, for that specific client. So you just have to be very careful on how you are going to keep those databases. So on the other hand, we have machine translation. Machine translation is for that automated way where translators do not work specifically in the translation. Computer does the translation. I know you may be familiar with DeepL or Reversal Context or Google Translate. These are machine translations, and they are going to have this automatic translation. I'm not going to get deep into this matter, but what I'm going to tell you is that machine translation may be used within the professional framework. However, this is not going to be called just translation. This is going to be post-editing translation. This is a different service because you're not translating. This is not your entire work. You are post-editing. You are editing after the machine has already translated the text. So this service, yes, it's demanded. Yes, this service is one of those that can be used within our work, and they work by these four stages: pre-editing, empty, post-editing, and evaluation. Uh, post-editing can be post-editing can be can be full post editing or partial post editing, depending on how are you going to work with your client. So normally the function is like this: you have your source, you have your document, and most machine translation systems nowadays use these systems, neurological systems. So machine translation is just a subfield of computational linguistics, where natural language processing is the main part of this. So this intelligence is going to give you different outputs. So this is different when you have machine translations that you may use, as all these I have mentioned you, is different from AE generative models, the ones that you may know as Copilot or the ChatGPT or stuff like that, because for those you have to prompt them. You have to tell them a specific task that you want them to do for you, and they can either work with text, images, audio or video. And they are going to work within billion parameters, and they are going to give you an output within these cases. They may be useful, yes, but as tools they can be useful, and as translation specifically, they might be more closer to a rephrasing tool than a translation tool, because they are going to write in the target language more, or rewrite in the target language more than write. So when you're doing this machine translation, the post editing consists, as I already mentioned, to improve that translation and provide a professional post editing. So when are we going to use machine translation, human translation? Well, we have this graphic which you can just check for this. So what I can tell you is that as far, well, as greater volume you have and less quality you need and less time you have, you're going to get into machine translation to do the whole work. As less volume you have, higher quality you need, and more time you have, then you're going to have to use human translation. Advertising, legal contracts that means specialized translations. Whether in machine translation you're going to have those if you use social media, these immediate translations in X social media or other social media that you may use, I don't know, Instagram, Facebook, or something like that. That's machine translation. That's how you're going to use it quickly, and it's with communication purposes. Post editing is right in the middle because you don't have that much time. You have a lot of volume, but you need more quality. So you need to get into user guides, product descriptions, knowledge bases. For instance, when you have, for example, cars manuals need to be post edited because you have to deliver a lot of translations. Uh, just checking for each year and each model you have. Okay, so this is a table I have for you. I can share it with you or I can deliver it to you because I can just check all this, but this is just summarizing all the what I mentioned. What I want to focus now is that when to use human translation, creative text, the specialized documents, any text where nuance and tones are critical. Machine translation, drafts, internal documents, large data sets, and post-editing, documents, manuals, save time, but final quality must meet publishing standards, and that's very important because there are some legal consequences if these documents or these texts are not supervised by humans. So this within all these activities, all these I have mentioned. Well, now I'm going to mention some profiles that have been brought up to light by Fernandez Acosta. He has already summarize with these profiles because these profiles are the ones that you may find in internet or wherever you want to get into a job. You may dig into these profiles. So these are the ones that should be suitable for working. So the first one is trans creator. So this goes beyond translation when you have to be creative beyond the translation and you have to transform the product. So here we have a trademark that is different in USA, UK, Australia, Mexico, Colombia, and Egypt. They come from the same trademark from the same family, but they have to change because of some regulations. That's for instance for Australia, because they already have this trademark, so they have to use this. Or already there's another trademark with the same name, so they have to change it, or it's more suitable for that specific market. So this is very important. When we are transcreating, we're talking about markets. We need to get into those market in a very efficient way. So this is another profile with the same skills, with the same competences that you develop as a translator. You may get into a transcreator job. Also, as a localizer, we have already mentioned localization. So page, website, software, video games, and mobile, they just need to be translated. They need to be located. For instance, we have here the example of the AirPods. They have to be sold. They have to be sold in the UK or in Mexico. They have different currencies, so they have to adapt. They have to adjust to localize. those websites in pounds or in Mexican pesos, for instance. Also, we have a linguistic tester. So localizers translate also video games, and within the video games industry, when they are about to launch a video game, they have to test it before it gets out. So they call for linguistic testers and functional testers. Functional testers play the game and get to know if there's some bug, some I don't know, character floating or flying when it should not be flying, or when it should not be there. And linguistic testers, part of our skills is when they have to check all the conversation boxes, all the text boxes, all the information for the gamer, or for the within the plot of this video game. They have to check. In this example, this was a mistake from the Japanese to the English because the name was very close to error. I don't remember exactly the word in Japanese, but it was something like era, something like that. So they translated as I am error, referring to era, no, instead of I am era. So this is the kind of things that they have to look up for. Or if the text is so long, too long for the box, they have to change it. So this is another area. SEO expert translator. So it's not just to translate again with the websites. We have another opportunity for optimizing um, websites. Search engine optimization, or SEO, has nothing to do with CEOs or something like that in companies. SEO is about getting the best results for your website. So you need to get deep into keywords or phrases, creating quick quality links, web design optimization, ranking, performance measurement, links, content, search. And this is within, you need to learn HTML language. So you need to know where to get information, or where to put specific information, so you can be on the first results of your research. Sorry, for of your search, of the searches of people. So when they look for tennis, they get your site above the rest, and information. That's this one that we have here beneath every text. It's created, or it's written by these SEO experts. So if we're translators, we can also relate different website contents in different languages. Okay, so the next one would be the aligner. So using databases, memory databases, you can also refreshing a little bit. Remember, we have also corpus databases. So if you have a corpus and you already have documents from any company, or that has already been done by your company, your agency before you, you can collect them and then align them. That means to put them in a new database, a new memory database, so you can create, and that's an aligner. The people, or the ones assigned for this, are the aligners, so they can be just getting information into new databases. So the project manager, as I already mentioned, as you can go up in within an agency, you develop management skills, knowledge about pressure, to work under pressure, translation, quality control, using of TVs, translation, memory translation, and terminology basis, and all this at the industrial level. So you can be a project manager too, and you have to develop some management skills. Other is the layout designer. Layout designer is within the document, the content, because I've already mentioned, the clients usually ask you to develop this document as close as the original one, so you may change some stuff. Covers are usually still rearranged by layout designers, by designers, but documents, official documents like birth certificates or other kind of documents, official documents, are actually redesigned, or adapted by translators. This is a whole new area. So within we have also the transcriber within interviews, focus groups, conversations, or as in this example for some trials, well, sometimes they need to have all the information in subtitles, or in the other hand, they may have these audios that need to be transcribed, so parties should have the evidence written. And the other one is a specialized translator. This is what we've been since we use clay tablets, specialized translators, editors, translators. Well, what you need to master now is the use of CAT tools so you can have a more efficient and productive work. And we have the machine translator post editor, the machine translation post editor that will enhance the part of quality control and quality assurance. That means that they are going to use the machine, as I already mentioned, but they are going to correct they are going to correct the product, they are going to find defects in the quality control process, and they are going to develop some management rules and for the process to get more proactive and prevent defects for future documents to be entered herein. So all within this, well, I have to mention that you have to be very, very, very keen with ethics, with experience, with safety, with cultural sensitivity, fair representation, accuracy, integrity, confidentiality, transparency, client honesty, team ethics, of course, copyright awareness. That's very important because you are managing copyrighted documents uh, pretty much the time. So if you're going to use this, your client must know. So final remarks, human translation remains irreplaceable. There are tasks that require this nuance, creativity, and cultural resonance. Machine translation excels in speed and volume, but raw output is rarely publishable. So this means that they need to be checked, to be proofread by translators. Post editing bridges the gap. This is what could be a solution. Competences are interconnected. We've mentioned this digital, but we have at least a lot more activities to be developed and to be interconnected. Professional diversification, roles that I've already mentioned. So you need to get into global communication, technology, and marketing. So translators are not just working behind their computers, writing or translating their text. So ethics underpin digital practices, confidentiality, transparency, cultural sensitivity are constant across profiles. I couldn't mention it, but cultural sensitivity could be a major razor when you are working with video games, for instance, because there are some instances that cannot be developed or cannot be translated in the same way they come from the original ones. Uh, some cultural sensitivities may apply. Technology intensifies responsibility. Automation requires vigilance to avoid errors, protect data, and maintain professional standards. And these are my reference. So this is it. Sorry, I
Thank you very much, Ricardo. Thank you very much for this wonderful presentation. And we have some question here in our social networks. One is related with the last phrases that you mentioned. Can you go deeper on the cultural sensitivity in video games?
Sure. For instance, when we are talking, for example, Germany has a ban on extremely violent video games, for example. So blood cannot be shared in the same way that is in Japanese or American versions of the video games. So colors should be taken into account. The red could not be the same, or it can be changed, or some historical issues also can be specifically taken into account. For example, authoritarianism or uh, fascism cannot be that well used, or video games could be banned if they are referred explicitly. So these are the kinds. Also, for instance, an old game from my time could be Age of Empires. It was about empires from the past, ancient, and some countries asks the company, Ensemble Studios, I believe, or just right to no, I believe it was Ensemble Studios, not directly to Microsoft, but the company developing the video game, because the video game had these historical references, this historical text, and they did not agree with what was stated there. So they asked for some renewal or change some facts because they did not agree with this. I don't know. There's another question.
Sorry. Yes, we have another question. Do you have do you see the translator of the future more as a linguistic expert or a digitalized specialist or combine of both, or what is your expectations about the translator in the future? Translator in the future.
Okay, I cannot rely on an answer that can apply to all types of translation. So I believe every type of translation may change or may develop their own profiles according to their kind of translation. For instance, legal translation, medical translation, and so on. But I do believe that for the future, linguistic I don't know, linguistic knowledge should be taken into account on every profile. Yes, I agree because it's essential whether you are doing localization or you are doing a medical translation, because the analysis, not just getting the morphosyntaxis or the phonological aspects of language, that it would be a first step, a first level, but also about analysis, studying the discourse, studying the analysis of the text. It's important for you to get into deeper knowledge. For instance, in video games, the knowledge you may have for studying characters is very important. I mean, from literature, the way you study characters in literature can be applied to study characters in video games, because you may develop some tones, some information, some background of that character that you may have only a sample. Because when you're localizing these video games, they provide you sometimes these user guides or these guidelines about the characters, but you need to get beyond, and you don't have the whole information because maybe the video game is still being developed in the original version and you just have some pictures, some footage, not more. So that can be difficult there. So yes, linguistic is very important. Cultural, I would say it's also very important. Culture, knowledge is fundamental. And I would say digital, yes, but you may have different levels of digital knowledge, at least from what I see now, depending on the kind of translation. That would be my answer.
Perfect. Gabriela Ramirez asked two questions.
Okay.
One is, can you explain how the CAT programs increase productivity? And the second, do you suggest text like the machine translation, or what is the difference?
Okay. The difference between machine translation and CAT tools is CAT tools, you use your own translations. You're working with your previous translations. The only thing you have is a database keeping or recording everything you have translated. So whenever you have a sentence that is quite similar to some previous sentence that you have already translated, it's going to show you, it's going to pop up and tell you, okay, you have already translated this. You want to use it or you want to skip it? You may have that option to skip it or translate it. And if you have a 100%, that means the exact same match from the translation memory to your ongoing translation, you have the duty to check it. That's part of the ethical. It's just because it says 100%, you don't have to. No, you have to check it because um, clients are different, projects are different, and you need to check it every time because it may change in the use of the language. according to each text or even the topic. And for the first question, how do I know this improves? Because when you use this translation memory, you don't have to repeat that words and you don't spend that so much time to remember how you were translated some stuff or the terms. Once you document your terms, once you finally have the solution for one terminology problem, you find a term and you, I don't know, spend about 15, 20 minutes looking up for that specific term in the for the specific client or the specific topic you have there, and you make your own personal glossary. That personal glossary is specific for your client and for your project. So again, if 6 months later you have the same client with a similar project, it's most likely that um, term that you have already found previously is going to work better than any dictionary or any new search that you're going to have. So it remembers your previous translations, it remembers your previous documentation and research on terminology, so your productivity is going to boost with this information. Boost.
Per- Perfect, Ricardo. Dream Cloud also write a question here. Which sector could you say demands more cultural advisors or localizers?
Sorry, would you please repeat the question?
Yes. Which sector would you
Mhm.
say demand more cultural advisors or localizers?
That's a difficult one because cultural issues and cultural knowledge, as I've already mentioned, is cross-wide. Any type of translation, you may know how to. Because if you check these undergraduate programs on translation, you may see that they have always this at least at least a couple of subjects referring to cultural issues or cultural, I don't know, matters, because culture is within our human existence. So everything we produce is culture, and everything we translate is culture. So we need to get into culture, yes or yes. So in the case of localization, it's deeply important because if you're going to provide some product to a specific market, you need to know their culture. Otherwise, you're going to flunk. That's it. Because, for instance, if you want to sell, I don't know, pastries in the UK, you need to know they already have pastries and what kind of pastries, and they love pastries. So if I'm going to sell pastries, I need to know what's my edge, how I'm going to sell these new pastries so they can accept my new product in an already um, PC market, right? For instance, or the other way around. They do not know anything about my product, so I need to introduce it. Or with the flavors. For instance, there's this little cake we have in Mexico called gansito that it's filled with strawberry marmalade in Mexico. It's very common in Mexico because it's made by this company, huge company. But when it was sold in South America, specifically in Colombia, they changed the flavor. It's not from strawberry, it's from blueberry or some berries, a mix of berries. Because with a market research, they found that they were more um, used to this flavor of these berries than the strawberry specifically in these kind of cakes. So that's a practical approach I could tell you about culture within localization and video games I have already mentioned.
Thank you. And here we have another question. There are web-based translators. How you consider them in terms of personal data protection?
Okay. Yes, that's an important matter that you have to look up for. But you have to look up first and foremost with any application, any program, software, website in the web or outside the web. I mean, in your computer, in your desktop, about the privacy. That privacy settings or that privacy enhancement or that I forget the word in I forget the word in English. Sorry, it's
Cookies,
no, it's
cookies.
for privacy. What you this is the legal terms. I mean, for the privacy, the legal terms you have to check them. That's my first. There's not a rule applying for all software in the whole internet and for all desktops. You need to always check for those little letters in your private settings and disclaimer, that was word, and the disclaimer from the company, because you need to check for stuff like if they are going to provide protection, I mean digital protection for your documents, or if they are going to share your information, because there are some tools, for instance MateCat, you may use the translation memory, and that translation memory is collective, but you may use it or not. The privacy says that all information is within you and they are going to protect it within the cloud. But if you use the collective um, translation memory, they are going to share the information. So that would be a breach. So you need to just uncheck the box. I'm not going to use that translation memory. I'm going to use my own translation memory, and that's it. I just surpassed that issue. But there are other clouds and other programs, web-based programs, software that you may use without a problem. Just check the privacy settings. For instance, one that I have a little discussion was about I love PDF. I love PDF. It's a very easy tool to get into formatting documents and transforming documents, and they express it. We have your documents in our cloud just within 24 hours. After it is deleted. Meanwhile, it is going to be encrypted. That's it. That's the protection that I have. So yeah, any company, any cloud may have a breach. So any hacker attack or any attack they may have, well, that's going to happen if you're using a cloud and not your desktop. That's an issue you may have with any software. So that would be my answer.
Okay, Ricardo. And a last question here is DreamCloud also insists in which sector has the highest demand for localization services in 26, if you know.
Actually, for this 26, I would not know, but I can tell you it depends also in the specific market you are. I mean, Europe is not the same market as Asia or Latin America, so it may change from one to another market. I don't have the figures right now, but
Or
I could tell
25, do
you,
you know something about 25?
yeah, I can tell you that the whole world, the biggest market is the American one. Then we have the Asian market. Then we have the Latin American market in the whole terms, in the whole figures. Then specifically, it depends also in the country because some countries may have, for example, more dubbing and more subtitling than other countries. Mexico is a country where we have a huge history on dubbing since pretty much the 20s, 30s, from the last century. So it cannot be that compared to other countries that may not have even studios that may record these dubbings, for instance. And within a specific localization, if we take mobile software and video games, I would tell you that at least for Mexico, the last one, video games, is the newest because mobile applications have been localized before because that's the way they've entered into the Mexican market as localization companies because we had these dubbing companies and subtitling companies that start doing this localization jobs, But then international companies, international localization companies enter into our market, and they now develop these companies where they are accepting this. This is not the same story as is in Spain. In Spain, there's a different story. I would say that most of these companies entering Mexico are from Spain or come from Spain. And if I look to their figures, I would say as video game is the newest, it would be the less demanded for right now. That doesn't mean that it's going to stay like that. Also because video games have not been translated in Mexico and Latin America for a long, long time. So they've started being translated as 2006 as a industrial way, not just some specific cases that we have registered in the 90s. But 2006, 2007, we have a real development of local video games localization. So it's pretty much 20 years, we would say. And apps, as I mentioned, well, they are before that because software was related there. I would say software has decreased because apps have increased a lot because we have mobiles, we have tablets, we have all these kind of informations, all these kind of devices. Yeah, that would be. Oh, so I was looking
Okay,
for a journal article to provide you for this cultural impact in video games. If you want to check, if you want to share it with them, yes, I'm gonna give you just the link right here. If you could provide them in the YouTube website
okay,
or something like that, because this is just how the cultural impact of video games review of the literature. This is a common general one, but I was looking up for one. I was not prepared for that one, but I was looking for a specific article talking about these cases, what I've told you about Germany and all that. But I cannot retrieve it right now, but I would be more than glad that providing you that information later. I've provided you my ad. It's at rfchimal, REFCHIMAL. So you can retrieve me on LinkedIn or X, and then I could provide you the link to that journal.
perfect. Ricardo, thank you very much. Thank you very much for this wonderful conversation and for sharing your knowledge with the people here from UNAM UK. We also invite you to follow the activities of UNAM UK Center for Mexican Studies, where we continue to promote academic collaboration and dialogue between Mexico and the United Kingdom. Thank you very much for all your kind attention, and we look forward to see you in our next seminar. Have a wonderful day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be here. Thank you.